In fact, to me, as much as I value our agenda and the things that, we try to share with people and I try to educate people with, I think this is, Q&A where we can help people with their problems, to me, is as valuable as anything we do. So,
Thank you.
hi, Steve.
Guten Abend.
Steve, what mail client do you use?
Um, we get mail through Spectrum, and I use this Mac Mail, iOS Mail.
Do you like it?
Yeah, I haven't had any problems
I,
with it.
I, I've always used Outlook, but now they've gone to new Outlook and it's sort of a mess. So I need to switch. Hi, John.
Now, do you have an iCloud account?
I just disabled it so
Oh,
that I could do the POP format. And I save on the server for 7 days. So it goes to my iPhone and to my Mac.
okay.
Well, and right now I'm using Outlook 365 temporarily until I settle on an email client.
Well, I can ask
Yeah.
our other people here, what mail client do you all use for?
Glenn, you froze up again.
John, can you hear me?
Yes, but I heard you flip as
You know,
well.
can you hear me now?
Yes.
No.
I don't
Yeah.
get this whole thing. I don't get this because I have mapped my whole house out and it's telling me this room I'm in is as strong as a signal as anywhere I'm getting. And it's the only place in my house that this happens. Drives me crazy.
And it was brief.
John, what mail client do you use?
Mail. It's just Apple Mail.
Okay.
I think sold American.
Yeah, it's been many years since I've used Outlook.
I
John,
never did.
do you use POP or IMAP?
I'm pretty sure it's an IMAP account. I believe that, well, I have two accounts, and there is one where I am at swbell.net, and that I believe is the older POP account. And then the one that I get that works on my iPhone as well as on the Mac and an iPad is, I believe, an IMAP account. And given that, I could use, I could use Google Mail or something if I wanted to do that, or Outlook, or I think there's some other third-party mail clients that are out there. I just haven't
With
really,
IMAP,
I was going to say, I just haven't experimented with any of those because um, despite all the shortcomings of Apple Mail, it works seamlessly across all of my devices. And whether Outlook, for example, would do that, I don't know.
well, I want to leave Outlook only because I don't want new Outlook. I think. With IMAP, are you able to keep emails from a long time ago? See, that was my worry that they would disappear, and I didn't want to have to manually archive things, although now I'm hearing that there's rules that can be done that I think IMAP has rules, correct?
Both will allow you to to create, I'm going to call them sorting rules for your incoming mail, and put them into this folder or that grouping. I can do that on with either of the accounts that I've got. Um, so I don't think it's a IMAP versus POP sort of thing.
That's the only reason I didn't switch to IMAP was I thought I want them locally on my computer. Um, I was afraid they'd vanish.
Once you download from the server, they are local. whether you're using IMAP or POP, you can download them either way. So I use IMAP, but all my emails that I want to save are located on my computer in my Apple Mail files. Now, the nice thing, because of my iCloud account, I can pick up my iPad or I can pick up my iPhone. And since I'm using Apple Mail on all three of them in iCloud, those stored emails they're stored in Apple Mail. And even though they're stored locally on my computer, they're also shared through iCloud, so I can access them on any device.
Actually, I'd like to make a
So-
comment about IMAP. In my experience, IMAP, if the email with IMAP, with IMAP, if the email leaves the server, your local computer will sync up and it will leave your computer too.
See, that's my understanding too. Not only that, if you, well, and this is true with POP, that what I read is that if you delete that email account and the emails are stored under the email account and not on my Mac, you'll lose those emails, which is why I thought, okay, I would need to do rules to get it on my Mac.
And with POP, once you pull it down to on my Mac, you're responsible for its safe storage. You lose your hard drive and you don't have backup, it's gone.
Well,
Right.
here's the thing though, I use IMAP and my mails download to my computer. Then I decide if I want to delete them or I want to keep them.
And if you want to keep them, where do you put them?
Whatever folder I want them in. As I mentioned, I created tons of folders. You know, if it's for GAMUG, I put it in the GAMUG folder. If it's a family thing, I put it in my family folder. If it's, for my coaching, I put it, wherever I want. I just drag it to that folder.
See, and I didn't want to have to do dragging. I wanted to just set up rules so
Well,
it goes automatically.
And you can do that. You can set up rules so that if it's from, certain people, it goes to certain folders, or a certain type of address, it goes, you can certainly do that. You just have to take the time to set up those rules.
I know I could do that on POP. I didn't know that I could do that on IMAP on my computer.
You know, Apple Mail, it's easy to do.
Okay, well that's great. Well, one other question that I had was, and if you're all mail users, you probably wouldn't know the answer to this, but I need to convert from Outlook to Mail, and right now dragging to the desktop and creating .mbox folders doesn't, I get a message that it didn't include all the emails. So I need to get a converter, and what I've read is some of the professional converters are not that expensive. Will do it just in all the right format. So does anyone know of a good converter? It's probably, if you're all using mail, it'd be irrelevant.
My guess is, yeah, but again, I would ask on that forum I gave you, I would ask some of these questions.
you.
Might get more expert definitive answers than what we're giving
Yeah,
you.
for sure. That forum would probably answer that question pretty easily for you.
Well,
Because of your questions, Helen, you've maybe a topic for one of our future upcoming meetings would be doing something with mail and mail rules. Might
What
be
was
a
that forum you recommended?
worthy topic. What's that?
What was that forum you recommended to her?
Look in the chat.
I
I
came
have
in
found,
late and it's not in my chat.
oh, it's
Okay.
forums.
It's Mac Rumors.
Oh, Mac Rumors. Okay.
As I was explaining to Helen before you guys came on, I have found of all the Mac forums out there, when I'm really stumped, I have found that Mac Rumors, for whatever reason, I just feel like I get quicker answers and better answers there. And by the way, I'm reposting that in the messages, so now hopefully everybody can see it. But I've had a lot of success with, when I'm stumped, getting answers there. So I've had good luck with it.
And thank you all. I really so appreciate being able to bring up all this stuff, and hearing that your mail users really reinforces one of my main questions, which is just go to mail.
Well, again, I know there are people out there that don't like mail, but you just happen to be with a group of people who seemingly use it. You know what, though? This is, like I said before, to me, I think this is one of the biggest strengths of our group is that we can ask questions and get help when we need it. So, it's great. We love people to ask questions, and you know what? We can all learn things from that. I will say this though, from listening to experts talk about this, and by no means do I consider myself an expert, mail is one of the most complex software applications out there, because there are a lot of moving parts in mail clients. And you've got, you're using multiple databases in there and transferring, different protocols for transferring, mail messages back and forth. And so at least that's what I've heard from people who, have worked on these software programs, that they are way more complex than people realize. And it's not so simple to just, let's snap our fingers and create a new mail client.
I read, when I was comparing it to Thunderbird, what I kept reading is mail is very simple. Well, I'm used to Outlook, and I'm finding my significant other finally switched from an Android to an iPhone, and he was saying, "Oh my God, this is so confusing." I'm thinking, seems pretty intuitive to me, but I'm a longtime iPhone user.
It's all
Mail
perspective, right?
gives me compassion and empathy because it's a whole new system. It's kind of exciting, but nerve-wracking because I just want to get settled in. Also, I did not buy Apple Care with my new computer because I thought, when am I going to call them? And my iMacs don't break. Well, now I kind of wish I did, just for questions.
Don't say that. You're going to anger the
Knock on
computer
wood,
gods.
please.
You get a bolt of lightning out of the blue.
But I am finding mail fairly complex. And like I said, it's kind of exciting.
Well, I to me, it's nerve-wracking when you rely on programs for your everyday productivity and work or whatever, and you can't get on top of it, or you're needing to switch. And I know it can be really aggravating because I'm a pretty organized person, and when I can't be organized, it drives me a little crazy. And so I feel your pain in that regard, trying to wrangle all of this and being able to get it together. So good luck
And
with
I want to thank you. Thank you.
Ron. You're upside down.
I'm just trying the desk view, and that's how it showed.
I mean, I'm trying to take Helen seriously here, and I've got Ron doing flips over here.
Well, we probably should start anyway.
Can I ask a question of the group?
Yeah.
Sure, Terry.
Wondering if anybody can recommend an AI tool that runs on my Mac, and I can point it to a folder on my Mac of, say, PDFs or Word files, and get the AI to absorb the knowledge in those PDFs, which might be magazines or they might be other documents, to absorb the knowledge and then to be able to interact with me in a chat GPT like manner. Like, for example, if I give it a bunch of PDFs of computer magazines, and then I ask it something about software reviews that might have been in those magazines or something like that, that it would know about them.
Yes, but Terry, I would say start with what you just said. Start with Chat GPT.
Well, the issue though is the content that I want the agent to be an expert in is some stuff I have on my Mac.
That's not a problem. Now, I will tell you this, and by the way, most of these, as far as I know, all these AI programs can do what you want, but if you're using the free versions, you're limited to, and they don't tell you how many, but X amount of queries a day and so much data. So I actually, as an experiment a few months back, I got a subscription to Chat GPT. It's like $8 a month. And my intent was, I was going to try one out for a while and then move to another one just to compare them. And honestly, ChatGPT has been doing a pretty good job for me, and I haven't switched. But I'll give you an example of something. I was curious. So one of the events that I coach in track and field are pole vaulters. Pole vaulting may be the most complex of all the events in track and field because there's so many different movements and dynamics. Well, I was curious what ChatGPT would say analyzing. There's a problem I'm trying to solve with one of my vaulters, and I just can't affect change. So just this morning, I asked ChatGPT to analyze this pole vaulter and why they are doing, and I told him what the problem is, and I uploaded the video. And I was mightily impressed with what I got back from ChatGPT after it watched it. I asked it to analyze it and break down what might be the problems. And it did a phenomenal job of breaking down each portion of that vault by watching the video.
So
and
Chat
pointing things out.
GPT analyze an athletic performance from a video.
Yeah. And so I've uploaded PDFs before from my computer and asked, questions about it, or I will sometimes say, summarize this article in, 10 bullet points or something like that. And it's done that for me.
Well, I have a fairly large collection of magazines, or actually it's Townley does, but there's a fairly large collection of magazines. And I only said computer magazines as a generic example, but they're specialized magazines. And that I would like to be able to have the agent actually run locally if possible and examine those magazines on the hard drive.
I believe, and I don't know if it works like that, but and somebody correct me, I'm not sure, but doesn't ChatGPT have a Mac app? Does anybody know for sure? I don't know. I thought either they have one or they're making one. I don't know. So you might look for that. But now here's the thing I caution you with, Terry, on all this is that these AI, to do that kind of volume, you're going to need to have a paid subscription to one of these AI, whichever one you pick. And there's different levels of subscription. And so it sounds like you've got a lot of stuff there that, like I just went to the first level of subscription. Like I said, it's $8 a month. It's not really expensive, but depending on how much bulk you're throwing at it, there may be a ceiling. I don't know what that ceiling is. So you may investigate that with different AI models. Okay. All right, Ron, I think we're ready to roll here.
Okay. John's here. He's our president. John's waving. Let's see. Steve's here also. He's our first vice president. Glenn's our second vice president. And Alan's here also, our treasurer. Let's see, what else? In June, we plan to do WWDC and all the things that Apple announces then. So that'll be right like the day before our meeting in June. Also in June will be our membership rewards drawing, and all the people that attended since January will be off into that drawing. Let's see what else. Okay, I guess that's it. Glenn, goodies.
All right. My goal is for us to learn some stuff here. So hopefully we can learn a few things.
Are you gonna audit our notes that we take on this?
There'll be a test at the end. Are you guys seeing my goodies?
Yes.
Wow, I see some
Gladiolas.
I don't know why. Hold on a second. Why am I getting, sorry, I'm getting like a weird. All right, there we go. I was getting some weird messaging and I'm not sure what. All right. I just thought you guys couldn't get enough of my beautiful mug, so. By the way, this picture was an experiment. I asked ChatGPT to take an image of me and put me in there among the flowers. I thought it did a pretty decent job,
Did a
actually.
good job, yeah.
All right.
Did you give
So,
them the flowers?
what's that?
Did you give them the flower picture?
Yeah, I found this picture of the flowers I liked, and I said, use this picture, put me among the flowers. So I thought and I only did it once. I could have played with it and said, oh, continue my red shirt down where you see like between the flowers, or I thought about saying, put me as though I'm painted in the same, manner as the flowers, but I didn't go that far. So it really, honestly, it's amazing some of the things and I'm not going to say that AI gets it right all the time. That it makes plenty of mistakes, but sometimes it's kind of impressive what it will do. And I mean, like, in a second or two, that, I could go into Photoshop and I could do this very thing, but it would take me a lot longer to do it.
Is this the free version of ChatGPT or the paid?
Well, again, I have the paid, but here's the thing. If you have the free version of ChatGPT, it will allow you to have a certain amount of queries each day. So you could, and I think it'll allow you to upload 3 images during a 24-hour period. So you could probably do that one thing.
Thank you.
All right. So I don't know if we have fans of the hit Apple TV show Ted Lasso.
Yes.
It's making a big return in August. So it was on for 3 seasons, and I think everybody's aware of Ted Lasso, but if you're not, it stars Jason Sudeikis. He's an American soccer coach in England, and so he's making a return to coach now it's a women's team in England, and it's been 3 years already since the show came to an end. And I don't know if you guys know where that originated, but it was when NBC had the English Premier League, the English Soccer League on TV. They had him do commercials, and it was like a series of commercials that he was in as this kind of goofy American coach that didn't know much about, English football, or soccer as we call it. And so that's where the character is pulled from, was this series of commercials. So anyway, so that is going to be back here on TV on August 5th. So if you're a fan, be looking out for that. All right. The other cool thing I was reading about was an ophthalmologist using Vision Pro for cataract surgery. And I thought this was cool because as far as I know, nobody here owns a Vision Pro, do they?
No.
I didn't think anybody in our group bought one. And if you guys remember a couple of years ago when they came out, I went to the Apple store and had a tryout with one, and it's pretty impressive. But we don't really talk much about Vision Pros just because I don't think we use them, so we just don't talk about them much. But anyway, this ophthalmologist in New York, Dr. Eric Rosenberg, he became the first surgeon to perform cataract surgery using an Apple Vision Pro back in October of last year. And now it's being, repeated all over the place, evidently. And so they use it's like a mixed reality platform. It's called Scope XR, which Rosenberg co-developed. And so and I've never seen it in action. I can't totally, but as I understand it, it takes existing surgical equipment and it streams real-time imaging directly into the Vision Pro to be able to operate the equipment. And so I think that's a pretty cool benefit of, the Vision Pro. And I if it's successful here, I think we'll be seeing in a lot of other fields of medicine and science and things like that.
Sure.
So this was an interesting article I came across. iPods are making a comeback thanks to Gen Z. Now, iPods haven't been around for a while. I mean, I still own some old iPods, but when is the last time any of you used an iPod?
A long time ago.
You're all laughing because it's been that long. Well, I mean, Apple discontinued them. It's only been 2022 since they discontinued them, but they're making a comeback. And what I thought was interesting was the reason why. And as I put here, it's the loophole. It's because the iPods don't connect to the internet. So some places are being allowed, like in schools and things, where kids aren't allowed to use their electronic devices that connect to the internet. The other thing that Gen Z people were saying is that they think of them as just distraction free. They can sit and put their music on um, while they're working or whatever, and they're not distracted by notifications and social media and other stuff. And so I thought that was very interesting. And so all of a sudden, there's a huge spike in demand for iPods, for secondhand iPods. I mean, it's be pretty hard to find new iPods still. So you're having to buy, ones that have been owned already. But anyway, I came across this and I thought, well, that's really interesting. I wasn't expecting the iPods to make a comeback. All right. So anybody here
I
have
saw this.
an original iMac? Like, I mean, original? Well, you wish you did, because that original Macintosh 128K, it was their first like mass market one that they sold. You can get $8,000 for these things, especially if you've got it fully working and you've got the original box and manuals and the keyboard and mouse, all that stuff. Some of these are going for $7, $8, $9,000 at auction. Now, if you just have, I put here, you see, if you a mid-range example, you can get 3 or 4,000. If you've got the unit and it's working, but maybe you're missing the packaging or some of the accessories. And if you've got even a non-working unit, you might still be able to get like hundreds of dollars for it. And what I also thought was interesting is that some of the individual components, like original keyboards and software disks and manuals, can still sell separately, and you can actually make something from them. So,
Glenn, was that the one that you turned into an aquarium?
no,
No.
if it was, I'd be kicking myself now. No, mine was the Mac SE,
Oh,
which
okay.
came out about 5 years later. For those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, I took the guts out of my Mac SE and I replaced the monitor in there with a fish tank. And so now when you look in the little monitor window, you see it, well, I don't have it. It's not running now. It's taken apart. But when I did, you'd see a little fish in there swimming around. So, and I used to have that sitting on my kitchen counter. So yeah, hang on to these things. You never know what kind of money they're going to be worth later. Okay. So, for this next thing, it's interesting. How long does Apple really support their iPhones? Typically speaking, you're going to get major iOS updates on a phone for 5 to 7 years after the release. Apple won't guarantee you any kind of fixed timeline. Some of their minor like updates for security stuff, though, will last longer. You can get up to 7 or 8 years out of that. But as a real world examples here, as I put the iPhone 11, which came out in 2019, you can still run the latest iOS on that. So it's conceivable that if you've got, a recent, a 15 to 16, something like that, that conceivably you could get into the 2030s using that phone. But and I like this, as I put, Apple has even pushed limited updates to very old devices, like the 12-year-old iPhone 5 receiving a 2026 update. So that's pretty long. And I will say this, I generally find after 3 or 4 years, I want to move to a new phone, not just to have the latest and greatest, but I find I put a lot of wear and tear on my phones. Like right now, I've got a 15 Pro Max, and I'm waiting to see what comes out this fall. I plan to update it because my battery life is down to 82% on my phone. And I know I could just go get a new battery. But I'm also lately finding sometimes that my screen is not all the time, but occasionally it just won't, like I'll touch it and nothing happens. And I sometimes have to tap it multiple times or click the button to get it to respond. And because of that battery life, it runs hotter. By the way, Apple says that once your battery life gets down to 80%, that you are now, that battery is pretty much shot. So, I'm reaching, I'm just finding that I'm seeing the wear and tear. The other interesting thing, and I don't know if anybody can speak to this or not, you probably can't, but so I use standby mode. You all know what standby mode is?
Yes.
It's I see a few yes and no's. If you landscape your phone, put it on a charger like on your, nightstand or whatever, it will act as like a little clock on your nightstand. And I do that every night. That's the only clock that we have in our master bedroom. And so I'm curious, even though I have my iPhone set to stop charging at 85% to save battery life, how much wear and tear I'm putting on that phone, extra wear and tear, because I use that every night, in that mode on my nightstand.
There
Glenn,
has to be.
I assume so, but I have not been able to find any definitive answers on this, and I've searched for it.
Glenn,
Yeah.
there is an option in standby. You tap the screen and it will stay on for, you can set it to stay on for 20 seconds, or you can set it to stay on all night.
Mine only stays on for a short duration. It'll
Yeah.
go back off. Yeah.
Yeah, that would save battery and screen and everything else.
Yeah, it'll just sense when there's movement. So if I just kind of wave my hand in front of it, or I sit up, it'll, then it'll light up. But other than that, yeah. By the way, I've got this little chart here, and I know it's maybe a little small, but this shows you this little chart here. It's basically showing you for each iteration of iOS which phones could run it. If you notice here, it's getting longer. Now, that's also because back in the day, there were only a few years of iPhones. So, you couldn't really run it longer. But I'm fairly impressed that it has really stretched out the length, the amount of different phones. Like if you look at, the last couple software iOS versions, just how many phones can run that.
That's cool.
Yeah. I mean, so when people like accuse Apple of, oh, we're just trying to get us to buy new hardware, I kind of look at this and I say, it's better than what you might think it is.
Yeah, what's that last column on the right?
On the very, that's iOS 26.
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah.
All right. Let's see here. Hold on a second. All right. Anybody here ever heard of Homebridge?
Nope.
Okay. Well, if you're somebody that uses Apple Home, Homebridge, and there's a new version out, 2.0, it allows you to, let me say this, it's a free open source software tool, and it lets you use smart devices that aren't actually supported by Apple Home, but you can get them to work inside the Apple Home app. And it's a Mac app. As far as I could find, there is no iOS app that goes with it, but essentially acts as a bridge translating between your smart home, whatever they are, devices, and getting them to work with Apple Home, and that way you can keep everything in one place. So as I say, as an example, a device that might only work on Google or Alexa, now you can get it to show up in Apple Home. And it's introducing 2.0 introduces something called Matter, support for, which is a new universal smart home standard software that it uses. So we don't do much in the way of Apple Home. I think I've got a couple plugs and that's about it. But I know some of you use it much more. And I know sometimes it's frustrating that you can't get more devices to work with your Apple Home. So if you're somebody who uses a lot of that home automation stuff, you might look into this Homebridge 2.0. And by the way, that if you see down there in the left-hand corner of the screen, homebridge.io is the web address. So if you want to leave that up for a second, let you look at that.
There's a lot more devices that can use Apple Home now than there used to be, though.
Oh, sure, for sure. But there's still things that,
Well, like garage door openers didn't used to be compatible at all, especially Chamberlain or something like that. But most of them
well,
are.
I'll give you a great example. I have a Nest thermostat. That doesn't work with Apple Home. So, okay. I don't know if any of you work out at a gym, But I also don't know if you guys are aware that if you've got an Apple Watch, you can connect it to a treadmill or any other piece of equipment, cardio equipment that you might be using. And so you can get it to evidently when you've got it connected to the equipment, it'll be more accurate in recording your health data than just using the fitness and health apps on your iPhone. So I thought I'd show you guys here how you do this. So the first thing you do is you're going to turn on detect gym equipment in your settings. So you go to settings on the watch, go to workout.
What you doing?
When you go into workout, you'll see a little thing that says detect gym equipment and just toggle that on. So that's your first step. Then your second step is you got to sync it with the gym cardio equipment. And so if it is modern equipment, and I can't tell you how modern it has to be or what devices, you're gonna have to figure that one out for yourself. But you can pair it with treadmills, stationary bikes, ellipticals, rowing machines, stairmasters, etc. So with your screen of your phone of your watch facing the gym equipment, hold your Apple Watch next to. They'll have if it's compatible, if it's new enough technology can do it. There will be a contactless reader on the equipment. Face your watch screen to the contact reader on there, contactless reader. Usually it's marked with some kind of icon, or it'll say connects to Apple Watch or something. You guys know that from, using Apple Pay. And so, once you put it up there and next to it, just again, like using Apple Pay, a little tap and a beep, it'll tell you your watch is paired to the equipment. And then, you now are able to use it with the equipment and then just press start on the gym equipment. And once you start the workout on the gym equipment, your Apple Watch should automatically begin logging the workout. And also the data should sync to your fitness app on your iPhone and the activity app on your Apple Watch. So I know there might be some of you that say, well, wait a minute, what about privacy? And is this opening me up to something? Well, possibly, but it's not something I'm really too concerned about in doing that. So I would say anytime you go online or you connect to anything, you're opening yourself up to some, form of privacy loss. But kind of cool thing, because I don't think many people know that you can actually do that with your Apple Watch. All right. Some of you may know that you can now record phone calls with the latest iOS, but you can also actually transcribe your phone calls. And I thought, I haven't done it yet, but I think it's a cool idea because, if you're on a business call or maybe you're contacting, customer service over something, and you're sitting there furiously trying to take notes and make sure you get people's names and all that stuff. This could be a great way to do it. So I've got a real short little video that'll show you how.
In iOS 18.1, finally, you can record a phone call on your iPhone for future reference. And if your device supports Apple Intelligence, you'll get transcriptions of the phone calls too. From a live phone call or FaceTime audio call, tap the record button in the upper left. You'll get an explanatory screen explaining how this works the first time this happens. Both people will hear, "This call will be recorded." You can start recording at any time during a call. Afterwards, you can open Notes and check the Call Recordings folder to hear your recordings and see the notes you've taken. If you tap on a recording, you can play it back and browse a transcript where it labels the different sides of the phone call. And just like Apple Music, you can tap on a specific line to jump to that section. You can also tap Summary to get an AI-generated summary of the conversation. You can also use this note during the phone call if you need a scratch pad to take down numbers, write about appointments, take meeting notes, or remember something important that was said. That is how phone call transcriptions work in iOS 18.1. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.
I haven't actually tried using the transcription thing, but again, as he says, you've got to have a phone that is AI capable. So that's a 15 Pro or later to be able to do this. But seems like a very handy, thing to be able to do. And I don't know if I'm speaking to say, maybe somebody might object when they, it tells them the call's being recorded, but if it's a business call, I don't know well, maybe somebody might, but anyway, it's, you certainly can ask somebody before you do it. Okay, so I don't know if you guys know this, but Apple Notes Apple Maps has a hidden notes interface in it. And so this came along with iOS 18 and 26. And there's a feature that allows you to add notes to your saved locations. And I think this is a pretty handy little feature to have in there. So if you want to add a note, do a search for a location. All right. So here I just, I don't have to search that because that's where I go coach every afternoon at Parkway Central High School. And so my phone is used to me going there and pulling that up. So once you have any location pulled up like this, the next thing you want to do is you're going to notice at the bottom, you have a little, I don't know what you want to call that, a little menu item down there with 3 things on it, a plus, a star, and 3 dots. So press the plus to first add this location to your saved places. Once you've done that, once you've added it to your saved locations, you're going to now see in there an add a note field that was added. So if you look at the first image I had on the screen there, you don't see that add a note under, where it shows me how long it'll take to get there. It's not there. Now that I saved it, you can add a note. And then all you do is just click on that add a note, and this little screen will pop up there. And now you can, put whatever note you want in about the place. And so, as you can see, I just put a note where I coach track and field. Now, anytime I pull up Parkway Central High School, that note will be there. Let's say if you went to a restaurant, you needed to find the location of a restaurant, or you went to a restaurant, you wanted to have some note about it. Hey, this restaurant doesn't take US currency. You have to pay with Vietnamese money or something. I don't know, or this place sucks. Don't go back there. Whatever you want your note to be. But I think it's a real handy little addition to have, that you can make notes on places, or maybe you just found it tricky to get there. And there was something about, even though you had it on maps and you have to, it doesn't make sense, and you made yourself a note on something, whatever it is. I just think it's a nice little feature. Okay. I kind of touched on this before, but here's a quick little primer on how to use message effects. So when you're in the Messages app, to do some formatting and effects is a quick little.
Today, I'm going to show you how to use iMessage formatting and effects. These effects can add much more meaning, emotion, and fun to your texting. It's available on iOS 18 or later when you're using iMessage or Blue Bubble texting. You'll notice this formatting button to the right above the keyboard. That'll select the whole message, or you can double tap to select a specific word. And you have bold, italics, underline, or strike through features. You also have a variety of animated effects you can do. And you can have multiple different effects on the same message. Although unfortunately you can't have multiple effects on the same word. But that's not all. You have more effects available. Tap and hold the send button, and you can see a few animated effects that apply to the whole message bubble. You can make it slam down with a cloud of dust. Loud makes the message bubble grow and shake to get their attention. Gentle makes the text shrink down and slowly grow back in as if it's being whispered. And invisible ink covers the message with static that the other person needs to swipe away to reveal. You also have some full screen animations you can use. Tap the Screen tab to try them out. Echo sends copies of the message echoing across the screen, swirling and disappearing. Spotlight darkens the conversation with a bright spotlight of white light. Balloons sends multicolored balloons up from below. Confetti has multicolored confetti cascading from above. Love has a red heart-shaped balloon that inflates and floats away. Lasers sends multicolored laser lights across the screen, scanning up and down. Fireworks has fireworks burst and fade over a black backdrop. And Celebration has white light bursting from the top right corner with sparks raining down. Or tap X to close the menu. And that is how you can send fun animated effects in iMessage. I'm D. Griffin Jones with Cult of Mac.
So I know that's been around for a little while now, and we've kind of talked about it, but I thought it would be worth throwing back in there again because I think those are little things that, again, if you're not using those all the time, you totally forget they even exist. Or you get one of those and you're like, how the heck did they do that?
Today, I'm going to show.
All right. So I caught my eye, a little fun little news story. So we know that Apple was celebrating its 50th anniversary this year, but Porsche is also celebrating a big anniversary, their 75th. And so the two companies recently got together to collaborate and celebrate their anniversaries. And Porsche recently raced these two Porsche 963s that were outfitted with the Apple computer themed livery. And they did it at the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship at the famous Laguna Seca track just about a week ago on Sunday, May 3rd. And the Laguna Seca Raceway is about 80 miles south of the Apple Park campus. And by the way, they didn't win. They finished 6th and 7th, unfortunately. And here was the little, yeah. Well, my 10-year-old would tell you, Ron, that's just way passe. That's old now.
He's only 10. How does he know?
And so you saw the little Porsche put this little ad out there on Facebook about Apple and Porsche. But it's not the first time that the two had collaborated, and you'll notice a similarity in this livery painted here. I don't know why I have two slides there of that. And this one at the 24 Hours of Le Mans in 1980. And so they have done this collaboration before, but it's kind of a fun collaboration to celebrate their anniversaries. All right. Can anybody spot the Easter egg here on the background of the new MacBook Neo?
Not really.
Give you all a minute. I'm seeing a lot of heads like turning and looking and getting closer. And you all want the answer?
Are you supposed to like stare through it and your stereo or what?
Hey, no putting lasers into my computer screen, Steve. Okay, here's the answer. It says
MAC.
Yeah, it says Mac.
Oh,
You have to use the two parts of the A as a part of the A, M, and the C.
Yeah. Can you all see that now?
No, not really.
yeah.
Okay. Ron, look at the first three dashes. That's your M. And then the middle where you've got like two smaller dashes, well, a dash and a dot. That's like the middle of your A. And then the two long ones on either side of it are the outside of your A. And then you've got a long dash and then the very last column with two short ones. That's your C.
But what does that have to do with an Easter egg?
They call these things Easter eggs that they put into software or images that you don't necessarily notice, or some people might see, and you have to find them in there, as in an Easter egg hunt. That's what they just refer to them as.
Oh, I was literally looking for an Easter egg.
Sorry, I didn't mean to confuse you.
I did see the Mac. I did see that.
All right. Well, sorry, I didn't. Okay. All right. I wanted to show you guys something that I have been pretty floored by, and I am thinking about purchasing. It's called the Dwarf Mini Smart Telescope. I don't know. Do we have any amateur astronomers here?
I used to be.
Okay. Well, it's a company called Dwarf Lab, and they've made some pretty small telescopes. And so this mini smart telescope, it's a little under 2 pounds. And as you can see here, it sells for $399. And you use this with your iPhone, as you can see by the picture here. You do everything on your iPhone. So you set it up. You can actually set up the telescope just as they show there, or more likely you'll want a tripod to put it on, and you set it up, and then you use your iPhone to do everything. So I've got a video here that shows you, and we don't have to watch the whole video, but I'll show you some of this. Let me get out of my goodies here and reshare, and you guys can see how this thing works. But I'm actually thinking about buying this. So where are we at here? Here we go. You all see this?
Yep.
Hold on a second. I think. Okay, now I want to make sure I think we're seeing all of the screen. Okay.
I'm about to photograph 3 galaxies with the Dwarf Mini. Now, this galaxy group is referred to as the Leo triplet, and it lies in the constellation of Leo. Now, having used several different smart telescopes in the past, like Venus Vespera, Celestron's Origin, and even ZWO C-Star, I'm here to find out if the Dwarf Mini sacrifices quality for the sake of portability. Now, for those of you who want results, go ahead, take a look at the timeline below, skip to the end for our conclusions to find out. But for the rest of you who want to take a deeper dive into the Dwarf Mini and see all that it really has to offer, like, subscribe, and stay tuned. So this is Dwarf Labs' newest iteration of smart telescope, the Dwarf Mini, and it promises to take some epic photos of the night sky, all in a rather impressive, lightweight, compact design. The Dwarf Mini aligns, tracks, stacks, and auto-processes your data to create beautiful photos of your favorite deep sky objects, all from within the Dwarf Labs app. Now, the Dwarf Labs app also includes several other imaging modes, which we will dive into here momentarily. But first, let's take a deeper dive into the Dwarf Mini itself, see what comes in the box, and talk about specifications and features. First, upon opening the box, you'll find the Dwarf Mini itself. The Dwarf Mini is an ultra-compact smart telescope that comes in at a mere 1.85 pounds and can fit into nearly any backpack or camera case that you wish to travel with. It even fits into your pocket. It uses a 30mm apochromatic lens with a focal length of 150mm for gorgeous color correction with a flat field across your entire field of view. It utilizes a highly sensitive Sony IMX662 color sensor for the astrophotography imaging modes and a 1080p wide field lens and sensor for the other imaging modes. It moves up, down, left, and right on an alt-azimuth mount, and although no tripod is required to use this, the Dwarf Labs Mini tripod has been a robust, high-quality option for the equatorial mode and for overall stability. Next in the box, you'll find a magnetic clip-on solar filter for photographing the surface of the sun. This filter magnetically clips to the main objective to ensure a safe solar imaging experience. And lastly, you'll find a USB-C cable for charging the internal battery. So the Dwarf Mini can be used while charging, but we found that the 4-hour battery life was plenty for everything that we were doing each night out. Pairing it with a portable power supply, such as the Aperture 155, would be perfect for a full night use while camping or in your backyard. Alright, so in this next section, we're going to talk about the Dwarf Labs app. Now, the first thing that we noticed was how intuitive the user interface was, and if you're just now jumping into the realm of astrophotography with the Dwarf Mini, then this is something that you're going to greatly appreciate, and honestly, even those who are into advanced astrophotography, you're going to appreciate this also, so buckle in because we're diving deep. First, power on the telescope, wait a few moments for the Wi-Fi signal to develop, and then click Connect in the app. Choose the Dwarf Mini as your option and join the network. Once it connects, you are ready to start imaging. To access the heart of the Dwarf Labs app, click Live and it will take you to the imaging page where you will see the real-time view through your telescope's main lens and wide field lens. So first we're going to talk about the icons on the main page. So we'll start at the rectangle on the top left of the screen. This will simply hide the other on-screen field of view. You can toggle this on or off whenever. Now below that, you'll find a circle with 3 little dots inside, and that's going to bring up another submenu where you'll find Sky Finder mode, EQ mode, curves and adjustments, and dark frames. Now the Sky Finder mode is one of my favorite parts about this app. Let's say you only have a small patch of sky available to you from your viewing location. Simply point your telescope towards that patch of sky and the Dwarf Mini will show you exactly which deep sky objects are available in that area through several miniature photographs and icons. This is one of my favorite features of any smart telescope that I have used in the past, and it bypasses the need for you to use your Sky Atlas or search for these deep sky objects manually. Once you select from any of the options available to you, your telescope will automatically move to it and start photographing it. Now, this is a huge win for those of you who have limited real estate that is unobscured by houses or trees. So let's continue. Next on this submenu, you'll see the EQ mode. Now, the EQ mode is available only if you have a tripod that pans up and down. The dedicated tripod for the Dwarf Mini is what we recommend. It is very sturdy and we had a fantastic time with it while we were testing this out. The in-app polar alignment instructions are extremely clear and it only took me a minute or so to polar align to 1 degree of accuracy. Simply face the Dwarf logo south and tilt the tripod towards the North Star. From my location, it tells me that Polaris sits at 39 degrees. I'll do my best guess at manually pointing towards Polaris, and it will constantly update and tell me if I need to move my mount clockwise or counterclockwise, or up or down. Now, if you're unfamiliar with polar alignment or astrophotography, it's important to know that the more accurate your polar alignment, the longer your exposures can be before you start seeing star trails. We recommend starting at around 45 to 60 seconds and moving up or down from there, depending on your conditions. So we're back here on the main screen and you'll see at the bottom left a photo icon. And from here, you simply access your main photo album. You can also access the Infinity Lab where you can post-process, but we will get to that side of things here in a moment. The next and most obvious feature that you'll see is a large circle.
This continues on for a little bit, but I can stop this. I just want to give you guys an idea of what this thing can do. If you want me to continue it, I will. It's up to you guys.
And when you get one, you have to show us all your photographs.
I'll tell you what, let me skip ahead here. I'll show you what they come up with. Why is it not? Come on.
Have to point the telescope up towards a clear patch of sky. Now I'm going to power it on. All right, once it's powered on for several seconds, it's going to allow me to connect within the Dwarf Labs app. All right, so I'm going to hit connect.
Let me go a little further here. You'll be impressed with what he comes up with.
For Messier 65. Oh, there it is. All right, it's tracking. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my parameters, shutter speed.
We've lost our video there.
It's on
right.
pause.
No, it's not.
It isn't?
I'm going to calibrate the night sky, and I'm going to scoot back just so I don't interfere. All right, okay, it's already searching for Messier 65. Oh, there it is. All right, it's tracking. I'm going to go ahead and adjust my parameters, shutter speed. Let's go 15 seconds. Now it's just initializing. All right, we've started our exposure of Messier 65, or the entire Leo triplet, 3 minutes and 45 seconds, maybe 3 minutes and 50 seconds. Capturing in progress. All right, let's go. It's right there on the screen. Yes. Now that we have the Leo triplet captured, I'm gonna spend some time photographing this, and then I think I'm gonna dance around the night sky a little bit and explore some of my other favorite deep sky objects. Let's get to it. At the beginning of this project, we asked ourselves, does the Dwarf Mini sacrifice quality, image quality, build quality for the sake of portability? But what really surprised me was how often I just wanted to bring it outside and actually use it. Simply put, this is not something that I have ever felt with any other smart telescope that I have used in the past. So does the Dwarf Mini sacrifice quality for the sake of portability? In our opinion, absolutely not. Now, we forget that the Dwarf Mini or smart telescopes, we can lose sight of their purpose. But the purpose of the Dwarf Mini is to bring more people out under the night sky, to make astrophotography and astronomy, amateur astronomy, more accessible. And we think that Dwarf Labs absolutely nailed it with the Dwarf Mini. Now, this might be just a stepping stone for some, for those who are looking to get into more dedicated astrophotography. Maybe you have the Dwarf Mini and you don't even know that you're going to be getting into dedicated astrophotography. But this could be just one small step in that long journey. And for others, this is exactly what you're looking for, whether it be just the stopping point. You just want to get into amateur astronomy and explore the night sky. The Dwarf Mini is going to be a great option for you.
I was thinking they showed a few pictures
review
at
and
the
deep
end that they
dive
were
on
somewhere
the Dwarf
in the
Mini
interior. So I apologize. I thought he had some at the end, but I've watched like probably half a dozen video reviews on this, and some of the pictures I see that people take with it are phenomenal. And so, as he said, you know, for something that small and relatively inexpensive, if you consider $400 inexpensive for a telescope. The other thing that really attracts me about it is you don't have to be hunched over a telescope and trying to, take pictures through the telescope and everything. I love that it's run through your camera app and it does everything, for you. So I haven't committed to it yet, but I'm thinking about it. And if I make that leap at some point, I will share with you guys what I'm able to do with it. So
Father's Day's coming up, Glenn.
yeah, my wife would tell you that I don't need gifts that expensive. We just buy our own gifts. It works much easier that way. All right. Well, that's all for my goodies and the little extra bit there.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Glenn, one quick question on that telescope.
Yeah.
Does it need to be, you don't have to have an active internet connection while you're using it, I don't think, do you? Because by definition, you want to be away from lights and probably out in the country, and there's not going to be a lot of Wi-Fi signal strength out there.
Like for actually doing that, as far as I know, the only connection you need is between the phone and the unit itself. And I presume I have to remember, because I looked at this stuff a few weeks ago. I think it's via Bluetooth that it connects.
Yeah, it connects via Bluetooth, but I'm guessing that somewhere along the line, either within the unit or within the app, it must have, well, he showed that one screen that showed he would point the thing at a given point in the sky, a given latitude, a given
azimuth
and a declination, and it would show the deep sky objects known to be in that direction. So somewhere it's got a listing of what those are. And
what I don't know is if that's pre-programmed into the app or if it has to actively have the ability to look that up.
Yeah, that I don't know, because if it has to look it up at the time you're using it, I don't see how it could if it needs a Wi-Fi signal, because again, you're going to be using it out in the boonies where you're not going to have much in the way of a Wi-Fi signal. That's why I'm thinking it's probably pre-programmed.
And you know what? And it's interesting because, like I said, I probably watched about a half a dozen videos about this thing. Not one of them does it ever talk about an internet connection. So that was never mentioned.
Okay,
Now
so
I'm
If you're
gonna,
outside, that would be hard to do.
yeah, my guess is it's not needed. Okay.
yeah. Now I'm gonna have to research that though.
Before you buy it.
Yeah. Of course, when I said to my wife I was looking at buying this thing and I thought my son and I might have some fun with it, she's like, "Why don't you just get one from the library?"
Yeah, good luck with that. Oh, what you need to do, Glenn, is to see if the thing is available on the Apple Store, because didn't you say you got a gazillion dollars in Apple Cash available to you?
Oh yeah, that
Buy
that
it from
all
your
that
Apple Cash.
all that I'm saving for my next MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro Ultra, maybe. The rumor has it that it could be the high-end MacBook Pro coming out.
Well, that'll cost a lot more than $400, I'll tell you.
Yeah. Yeah. What's up next, Ron?
I don't know, what should we go to?
Uh, Steve, do you want to talk?
Sure, let me get set up here. Come on. There. Okay, you see investment trackers?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, we're good to go then. And let me open up my notes. Okay, this presentation is for the stock market investors or those who are interested in becoming. There are plenty of apps and websites available for tracking your investments. This is not the only one. I opened up the wrong one. Hold on here. Sorry. Investment trackers. There it is. Come on. Apologies. Try this again. It's not opening.
Isn't technology grand?
When it works, it's great.
It always works until you need it to work.
Yeah.
Steve, you want us to come back to you?
Yeah, would you please?
All right.
Thank you.
Ron, do we want to talk about the weird things? Oh, are you ready there?
Oh, now it's working. Okay.
Okay. Well, there we are.
Did you see it? Investment trackers. There you go. Okay, as I was saying, this is for the investments. We have a financial advisor whose company makes recommendations, and we pick stocks or funds from their suggestions. By the way, I will not mention which company we go with. If you want to know who our advisor is, send me a private chat and I'll tell you the name of the company, and I'll even give you the contact information for our advisor. He has done very well for us. That's all I'll say. So I use three sources for tracking our investments. One is a widget called Stocks, and then there's two websites. One is Yahoo Finance, and the third one is MarketBeat. And the features I use on all three of them are free. And as I said before, there are plenty more out there. These are just the ones that I happen to go with. So, first one is Stocks. The one I check most often is this widget. It's probably already on your iPhone or your Mac. If not, then it's available in the App Store. So open stocks and tap on the three dots in the upper right, and then select the menu item called New Watch List. Give the watch list a name. I'll call this one GAMUG. You can create a separate watch list for different kinds of investments, such as equities, bonds, mutual funds, different types of stocks, such as technology, energy, banking, so on and so forth. Now you're ready to add a company to the list by either the company's name or the stock symbol. I entered AAPL, which is right there, which is the symbol for Apple Incorporated. I tap the plus sign next to the one we want, this one up here, and Apple is added to the watch list. And this is what our watch list looks like with one entry. You can add as many stocks as you want. I don't know if there is a limit. I certainly haven't found it. So it could be that there's any number available. So next, you tap on Apple and investment information appears, including the current price of a share of Apple stock and how much the price rose or fell for the day. This screenshot is from a week ago. You can change the line graph to show Apple's market history. For example, you just want to see what's happening today, or you can go from a few months all the way to the entire history since it went public back in 1980. By the way, another useful feature is setting the app to alert you when a stock reaches a certain price. I had my first experience with a Mac in the 1990s, and I was so impressed with it. I wanted to buy Apple stock when it was $15 a share, but our advisor at the time talked me out of it.
Too bad.
He is no longer our financial advisor. So,
Steve, I thought about the same thing back then, and like, I have other things to spend my money on. I've been
yeah,
kicking myself ever since.
yeah.
Okay, I'm going to brag. I bought it at it, but it was an initial public offering.
Oh, good for you. Do you still got it?
And I never sold it. Mm-hmm.
Oh, excellent.
Wow.
Since we bought it, it has split 4 times. Twice it doubled. Once it was a 7-to-1 split, and another time it was a 4-to-1 split. So I figured out the average price per share since those splits, and it was the equivalent of $42 a share, and now it's almost 300. So Apple has done well for its investors. Okay, the next item is Yahoo Finance. It's a website. It's free to use, though you can create an account to get more features. I check Yahoo Finance because I think it has better news reports than the stocks app. For example, when a stock takes a big gain or a loss, I like to find out why. A week ago, Apple stock rose by more than $7 in one day. I scrolled down the page and I learned the company had a better than expected quarterly earnings report, more than $111 billion. I cannot wrap my head around that much money. You know, how much is that in candy bars? That's about the better I can do. The report made investors optimistic, so they started buying up Apple stock. And when demand increases, of course, the price increases. In Safari, I created a folder I call investments, and the Yahoo Finance page for each equity we own has its own tab. The website is easier to navigate on my Mac than on my phone. So that's a tip right there. The last item we'll talk about is MarketBeat. You can create an account, though I just use it to check dividends, and that's a free feature. We have reached the age, my wife and I, when we are more interested in income than in growth. MarketBeat tells when a company will pay its next dividend and how much the dividend will be per share. And you can also look at the company's dividend history. The page for any given stock has a sidebar. over here, where one of the items is dividend. Select that item and the dividend page opens. In this case, Apple. On May 14th, the day after tomorrow, the company will pay its quarterly dividend. And notice that the $4 is the annual dividend. So divide that amount by 4 for the quarterly dividend. And that's it. Questions, comments?
Thanks, Steve. I like the stock app. I think it's a nice little app. I use it. Have
It's
my
quick.
stock.
It's quick and easy to use, and it's free. So I take a look at that, and I open up my account with our investment company every morning, and takes me about 10 minutes.
How many stocks do you follow?
My wife and I have a total of 6 retirement accounts. And
No, I mean, talking about stocks. Yeah.
we have stocks in 6 or 7 different companies. Apple, Johnson & Johnson, Starbucks, Truist Financial, Adams Financial, and there's one more. I can't think of what it is. Constellation Energy. Boy, that's a roller coaster. Constellation specializes in renewable energy. It's the #1 builder of nuclear power plants. And people get freaky. Constellation will jump $20 in one day, and the next day it'll drop 15. I mean, up and down, up and down. But on the whole, it has done well. It has gained. Our stockbroker says, think of it as a man with a yo-yo walking uphill. Don't watch the yo-yo, watch the man. Good advice.
You can also look up funds on there as well as individual stocks.
Yes, that is true.
Right.
We have zillions of funds that
like
IRAs are invested in.
the one that I have a lot invested in is QQQ. I have that on there, which is the NASDAQ fund. All right. Well, thank you, Steve. Good information. Ron, do we want to do the weird stuff or the converting audio files stuff?
I think the weird stuff first.
Okay.
Okay. This is a Mac that app on Mac Most that came. Actually, Glenn saw it too, but anyway, it's called 10 Weird Mac OS Features that are somewhat useful. And I think you'd find some of them actually are useful, even though they are weird. So let me,
while Ron's getting that ready, I just got to say, like Mac OS or iOS or any of these systems are so large, it's almost impossible to know every feature in them. And again, if you don't use a feature regularly, you will forget it exists. So when like these videos and stuff like this are great because there are some great stuff out there that just aren't common knowledge.
Okay. Do you see the Mac Most guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Here
Here
we
are
go.
some weird but still useful features you can find on your Mac. So I did a video like this a while back, and some of those weird features aren't there anymore in modern Mac OS. So here's a mix of some old ones and some new ones. So the first one I want to show you is putting a background behind Finder windows in specific folders. For instance, here I'm looking at a folder and you can see I'm in icon view. This only works in icon view. Now, it's got a standard white background behind the icons, but you could change that. If you go to View and then Show View Options or simply Command J, you'll see Background, Default Color and Picture. Again, this only appears if you're in icon view. If you're in list view, you won't see that option there, nor will you see it in column view or gallery view. So in icon view, you can switch to color. And once you switch to color, you'll see a circle here with a color in it. Click on that and it brings up the color chooser. you can use the color wheel or any other mode to select a color. So you can put a background color behind the icons here. And this can help you differentiate between folders. So you could quickly tell where you're at, or if you have multiple windows or tabs open, where you're at without even having to find the name. You could also select picture. When you do, you get this little drop zone here. You can take an image like this one and drop it there, and it will use the image there. So you could use a photo, but you could also create your own graphics in any graphics app you want. So you can do a gradient or something else and have that as the background. At any time you can switch back between these. As you could see, it remembers the color and remembers the picture even if you switch away and then back again. To get rid of the color, you just want to go and set this to white. To get rid of the picture, click there so it's selected like that, and then press the delete key on your keyboard and then switch back to default. Now when you copy some text, you can of course then paste it somewhere else. But let's say you forget what you've copied in the Finder, and for some reason this is only available in the Finder even though the clipboard is used throughout macOS and in all apps. You can go to the Edit menu and there's Show Clipboard. This special little window is part of the Finder. So if you switch to another app, like for instance if I were to go to Notes, you don't see it anymore. You have to be in the Finder to see it. It even tells you the type here, for instance text. So if I were to select say this file here and do Command C to copy the file, it'll show the file name and it will tell me that it's items but also contains some text, the file name. If I were to double click on it to open this in say Preview, select an area and then Command C to copy, I could see that now that clipboard window in the Finder shows me the image and says what the contents are, a PNG image in this case. This is handy if you need to confirm the contents of the clipboard, like for instance, did a copy work? Or if you want to just confirm before you paste. Now the Music app has a feature that dates all the way back to iTunes. In fact, even the apps that were the precursor to iTunes. If you are playing music, as I am here, you can go to Window and then Visualizer to turn on the visualizer, which gives you a interesting graphic that is coordinated with the music. If you press the slash or question mark key on your keyboard, you'll actually get some keyboard shortcuts there at the top left corner, and you can customize this. You can use the escape key to exit and also go to visualizer settings here and choose the classic visualizer for the older one, and then you could activate it and you'll see this older version of the visualizer. The same slash or question mark key works here to show you settings for that as well. This is handy if you want to use your Mac to play music, but you don't want it just to sit there and have the screen go to sleep or to screensaver. You actually get something related to the music. It's particularly useful, say, if you have a meeting or you just want your Mac to be playing music while you've got company at home and you want something more to be on the screen than just showing your desktop. Now here's a trick you can do with apps and the Preview app. The Preview app, of course, is what you use to open PDFs and image files to view them and do various things with them. But you can actually open up a lot of apps in Preview. The app doesn't run. Instead, Preview looks for and finds graphics inside the apps. So for instance, to make it easier, I put Preview here in the dock so I can easily drag and drop something to it. So if I took the clock app here and I drag that to Preview, it will open up the clock app in Preview and you'll see this list of graphics here. In this case, different clock faces and some other graphics that are inside of the app. Sometimes you get a whole variety of things. I'll drag and drop the Books app onto Preview here. It's going to warn me that there's actual multiple files inside of this app that are going to be opened. So you're going to see all sorts of different things open up in cases like this, and it's going to show you buttons and other controls. Some of these can make interesting graphics for you to use in, say, presentations and such. Also, if you select an app and use Command I, then click to select the icon at the top left corner of the info window and Command C to copy, you might know that you can paste that app icon in different places where you can paste images. But in Preview, if you then go to File, New from Clipboard, you don't just get the graphic by itself. You get all of the different sizes here in the left sidebar. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MacMost through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, if you don't know this already, your Mac comes with an app called Photo Booth, and it's basically the camera app for your Mac. It allows you to take a picture with your Mac's camera. Now, your Mac's camera is really meant for meetings and such, but if you need to, you could take a photo with it. It's not going to be nearly as high resolution as an iPhone camera or another camera, but you can still use it. But the weird thing about it is it has special effects that have been there since day one. So you want to make sure you have the still camera option here, and then you click on the effects button. And then you're going to see all of these interesting effects that you can choose and do different things with, like that. There are actually multiple pages of them, like that. It's just a bit of fun, and it's good for keeping kids entertained. And the middle one actually has some good filters that could be useful in various projects and situations. Now, there are a variety of reasons you may want your Mac to speak to you, but did you know that you've got, in addition to regular voices like the Siri voices, you've got some actual weird novelty voices. Go to System Settings and then go to Accessibility and then to Read and Speak. And here you can set the voice that's going to be used. So for instance, under System Voice here, you can select from this list or click the I button there. And then you get a list of all of these. If you scroll to the bottom, you're going to get a whole set of novelty ones. Like for instance, this one.
Spring has sprung, fall has fell, winter's here and it's colder than usual.
And all sorts of things.
I sure like being inside this fancy computer.
These have been around for a while, and they could be useful, especially if you're trying to have your written text spoken back to you. Using a novelty voice could sometimes help you hear mistakes that a regular voice couldn't. Now, for a use for spoken voices, let's go to Menu Bar here in System Settings. And if you go to Clock Options, there's the option here to announce the time and have it spoken on the hour, half hour, or quarter hour. You can choose which voice to use. So you can have the time spoken to, for instance, here when it's about to turn 11 o'clock.
It's 11 o'clock.
And as you can imagine, this could be useful for time management purposes. And this is a good example of using an unusual voice here, because you may be using a regular voice for other things. So having it spoken with a novelty voice could draw attention to the time as opposed to other things that are being said. An unusual feature that's been around forever is something called text clippings. And it's what happens if you select text in almost any app. You drag that text not elsewhere in the document or to another document, but to the Finder, like here on the desktop or to a Finder window. What you'll get is a little file called a text clipping. And you can see the extension there, .text clipping. Now you can't edit them or anything like that, but you can drag and drop them into a lot of different text areas in situations like this to add the text there. Like it works here in Text Edit, or it works here in Pages, but it doesn't work everywhere. For instance, it would be useful to do this in Mail, but if I drag this to the Mail composition window, it thinks I'm inserting a file. Here's an app that you may not have known is on your Mac. It comes with the system. It's called Digital Color Meter. So use Spotlight to launch it. And it has a bunch of different utilities built into it. But one of the things it does is it allows you to move your pointer over a pixel on the screen, and it will show you the red, green, and blue values for that color. It's useful in graphics applications. But what's really cool about it is you can change the aperture size. So you can incorporate a variety of different colors and get kind of the average color of that. So you're not trying to get the exact pixel, but basically the general color of an area. And note that it has a keyboard shortcut in here. Copy color as text, Shift Command C. So I can get, say, the average color of this area, see what the RGB values are, but using Shift Command C, I can copy that. And then I could paste it in some other app. So for this next trick, look for Activity Monitor, another app that comes with your Mac. Now you can use activity monitors to monitor CPU usage, memory usage, energy, disk, network, and so on. But one of the neat things you can do with it is you can go to the View menu here, and there's a submenu for Dock icon. So instead of having it show the normal application icon for Activity Monitor, you can have it show CPU usage, CPU history, network usage, or disk activity. So for instance, I'll have it show disk activity here, and then you could see it in the dock right there, and it gives me a little graph of disk activity. I can now hide Activity Monitor, yet I still am monitoring disk activity down here. So for instance, watch as I launch iMovie here, and it's going to use a bunch of disk activity to load up this video. You can also control click, right click, or two finger click, or just click and hold the app icon in the dock. And there's a dock icon option here, so you can switch to any one of these or back to the regular application icon. Now here's one last one, but I'm not sure if it actually has any real use beyond entertainment. Run the chess app that comes with your Mac. Now let's go and cancel this game and start a new game. And one of the things you can do here, in addition to being human versus human or human versus computer, is you can do computer versus computer. And then you can set the difficulty level here. Let's do 2 seconds per move and then start. And the computer will play itself. It's going to play both sides like this. You can make this full screen easily enough. You can choose all the options like whether or not to show the moves there on the right. And you can even go into settings and have it speak the moves, setting different voices for each player. So let's turn this on and watch.
Bishop f8 to e7.
Pawn d4 takes e5.
That could be kind of an alternative to a screensaver, I guess, or just something you watch for entertainment if you like chess. So I hope you found some of these weird features of your Mac useful. Thanks for watching. Want to know about every new MacMost video each week? Sign up for the absolutely free Mac.
I just thought some of those were interesting. I hope you did too.
You know, like I said, there are literally hundreds of those kind of things because the Mac OS is so large. And some of those, as he pointed out, have been around for a long time. I use the what's it called? Color digital monitor, or what is it called? I'm confusing what it's called, but I will use that occasionally when I'm doing graphic design stuff and I'm trying to come up with a specific color that I need. That's pretty handy. Anybody ever use any of those just by chance?
Glenn, if you're in Photoshop or whatever similar app, do you go by the RGB values in selecting colors?
Typically, I use CMYK more than RGB, but you know, I can use either one.
Yeah, because I don't think that one does CMYK as far as I could tell.
Yeah, but like I said, you can switch back and forth. It's not really never been a huge problem for me. So, but I used to have another little menu bar app that did that, but then I was like, well, I've got this already, so I don't need that, you know. It's already on my computer.
Do you color your folders with different colors so that you could tell which folder you're looking at?
I don't because I never use icon view, but what I do is I decorate the outside of the folders so they're more easy to see.
Okay.
Or without having to read it, I know it is like I've got a folder, as you all know, and if you don't know, can see over my shoulder, I play guitar. So I've got a folder where I throw guitar stuff in, whatever it may be. And the guitar folder, I took an image of one of my guitars and I made that the folder icon. So it's a guitar. So immediately, as soon as I look at my desktop, I see the guitar, bam, I know exactly where that folder is. So I'll do that sometimes with things like that. But be careful not to use too small of an image because otherwise you're going to get some weirdly pixelated thing.
I've done something similar to that with the hard drive icon on my wife's computer. She named the computer Wally. And I think most of us know I guess it's a Disney movie, Wally. So I copied the Wally icon and pasted it into the hard drive icon on her computer so that she can immediately tell where her hard drive is on the desktop. Just go look for Wally and there it is.
By a quirk of fate these days, my hard drive icon is gold. And normally the hard drive icon on your desktop well, if you have it, I shouldn't say that because they don't even come on your desktop anymore.
Right.
I always have mine. I view that icon because I want quick access to it. I like having it there. Anyway, normally it's a grayish silver color. Mine is gold because I used a program a number of years ago that did some partitioning stuff and allocated memory. I won't get into all that, but when you used it, it turned your hard drive color gold. And even though I don't use the program anymore, it stayed gold. And that has lasted through new Mac OSs. So I think it's kind of interesting. And even the shading and the little and everything is like shades of gold on there instead of like gray or black. So, all right. I believe we have one other thing tonight, Ron. Is that correct? Or do we have more than that?
You also have, let's see, a NetSpot app that you use?
Yeah. You want me to talk about that first, or do you want to go into the other thing?
Well,
All right.
Let's do that first.
Okay. You know what? I totally forgot about that. So let me get that ready. Yeah, you know what? That one totally slipped my mind that I even had that. So there is an app that I use, and it's called NetSpot. And the thing about this app is that, and hold on, I have to pull. Sorry, I got caught. I totally forgot about this one, and so I'm working on the fly here to open this up. But I use this NetSpot app to be able to take a look and get a picture of my Wi-Fi coverage in my home. And so not all of you were on here, but before the official meeting started, I froze up a little bit, and it's been driving me crazy for whatever reason. I'm down in my basement. This is our theater room slash music room slash office that I'm in. And I always do meetings. I always do the meetings here. That way I'm not annoying anybody. And so when I do these, I'm down here and I've never had a problem before. And all of a sudden lately in our meetings, I've been freezing up a little bit. And I don't know why that's happening. And I was trying to figure it out. So this application, this NetSpot application, can analyze your Wi-Fi system. Basically, it'll do a survey of your Wi-Fi coverage in your home, and it can give you a much better idea of where your weaknesses are and what you need to do to improve that, etc. And so to get this, to be able to do, and I'll show you what I'm talking about, these heat maps, you do have to buy the app. It's a $59 app. There's a free version, but you don't get the features to do some of this stuff. There's also a pro version that gives you more features, but that's $199. And while I would like some of those features, I really don't feel like I want to spend the money on that, so I didn't buy it. So let me show you, and let me see if I can share this with you. Here we go. Can you all see this?
Yep.
Okay. So I created, this is what they call a heat map. And this is a heat map of my Wi-Fi coverage on the main floor of my house. You can see that I even did this from the garage. And so what you do is I literally walked around with my laptop, and as I'm creating the heat map, each of those blue dots is a place that I told it to analyze. And I'd sit there with my laptop, and it took about 30 seconds. Then it would tell me it's done. Then I moved to the next point. And I tried to kind of walk around the house and get as many, different points as I could to get more coverage. The more points you give it, the better it can analyze it. And so when you look at the bottom there, you can see the decibel meter, and it's showing you essentially where you're getting better coverage and where you're getting weaker coverage. And so then what you can do with this is you can decide, oh, well, maybe I need to move. Now I've got a mesh system, so I have multiple, I've got my main router and then I've got my satellites that all work together. But you can decide, well, maybe I need to move my router or my satellites in different spots to get better coverage. And so you can look at, and let me stop this share and let me try to see if I can share. I guess that was the app I was in. Hold on a second.
I have a question.
Hold on a second. I was going to show you can do all these different things. You can do like signal level, signal to noise ratio. So it'll calculate that, etc. Yes. What was your question?
My question is, you have lines running between certain measuring points and certain routers. What is that for?
The lines,
can you tell which router you're using at each point?
well, as you can see there, and what I don't understand is why it's specifically, this is something I've been trying to figure out. And I was actually going to send an email to the developers to ask, like, see where it's got the 5G and 2G icons right next to each other.
Right.
It's where my main router is. Now, what I don't know is why it threw 5G and 2G icons kind of seemingly to me randomly in other places. That I'm not sure. Because like the 2G one that is up there where it says living room, I don't know of anything sitting in that area. I don't know of any devices that are sitting there that are using a 2G network. Now, maybe for some reason when it was analyzing, it was grabbing my 2G network in that area. I don't know. I don't know why it laid an icon there and not in other places. So I've been meaning to send them an email and get clarification on that. But you can see I've got all these different things that I can, use to analyze my network. And you can see there are things that are grayed out because I don't have the next level up that gives you even more of these things. So let me stop this. And I've got just a very brief little video from them that I will share with you.
Welcome to NetSpot, your key to successful Wi-Fi optimization. Let's dive into NetSpot's 3 major feature sets. The first one is the Inspector. It allows you to perform a detailed analysis of the surrounding Wi-Fi networks. You can discover the Wi-Fi networks around you and use their information to easily identify the least loaded channel. Determine the Wi-Fi signal level. NetSpot will conveniently lay out the network's names and information, like SSID, BSSID, signal strength, frequency bands, and more. You will appreciate the interface responsiveness with an easy switch between the table and chart views, data filters by a variety of parameters, as well as the export of gathered data to CSV format. The second feature is Wi-Fi Site Survey. When working on a Wi-Fi network that will provide optimal coverage, you'll need solid research and understanding of the radio frequency behavior at the spot. Upload the floor plan and start scanning. Click on the map where it corresponds to your actual location. The more measurements you take, the more accurate the results will be. Once you're done, click on the Heat Maps button. After completing the scan, you can get over 20 types of detailed heat maps showcasing the Wi-Fi signal strength throughout the area. This will allow you to easily pinpoint weak signal zones, interference spots, as well as the areas with optimal connection. And finally, let's have a look at Wi-Fi planning, which, you guessed it, allows you to plan your future Wi-Fi network with utmost precision. Here you get to create a layout of your surveyed site, complemented with the structural components like walls, doors, windows, and their materials. After all building elements have been placed and their properties set, click Continue. Place the routers around the surveyed space. Add your router where you think fit, and select a router brand and model from a pop-up menu. Specify router's desired settings. After you are done arranging the routers, click on the Heat Maps button. This allows generating visually comprehensive Wi-Fi heat maps of future Wi-Fi coverage, considering all potential signal obstructions. NetSpot offers a unique opportunity to visually explore a variety of setup options with numerous parameters in consideration, giving you a preliminary idea of your future wireless network. NetSpot, a comprehensive solution for your Wi-Fi network. Try it out today.
All right. So there you go.
Quick question, Glenn, on that heat map.
Yeah.
Which colors correspond to strong signals versus weak signals?
Yellow is strong.
Yellow and red, I think, are the good ones.
Yeah.
Well, yellow and red are the what?
Stronger.
Stronger.
Green
Yeah.
is just barely.
Okay.
But you also have to look at,
There was a chart in there on the page.
yeah, and you had to look down at the bottom. There's a little like meter down there of decibels, and it shows you. So, and it may not be as like, just from looking at the color, sometimes I find that it can look a little more radical than it really is. You got to look further into, what is the actual decibel difference you're getting there, how much interference are you really getting. But anyway, it's a cool app. Like I said, for some reason I just will occasionally get little freezes here. Now, as I said, I have a mesh system. My satellite that I have down here is literally right behind that screen on the other side of that wall. In the past, this room was one of the strongest areas of my house for getting a signal, but I recently upgraded. I've got an Orbi mesh system, and I upgraded from an Orbi 5, I guess. So I went up to Wi-Fi 7 with my new Orbi system a few months back. And so I've found with that switch that for some reason, I don't know, occasionally I just get these quick little dropouts here, but it's still telling me, like when I mapped it, my signal strength is still good in here. So I'm trying to figure out what that occasional interference is I'm getting. I haven't gotten to the bottom of it yet.
And on your system, you have one mothership and how many satellites?
Just one. I found we've got a ranch style house with a finished basement. And I found that the main one upstairs, and then I've got a satellite here, has worked pretty good. I've never really felt the need to buy a second satellite.
So all those marks on your map are added by them without any. I thought maybe you'd have to put where your routers were.
No, and again, that's why I wanted to find out their delineations, Alan, of those 2G and 5G icons.
Yeah, random.
Or was it guessing that it thinks that's where I have one? So like I said, I've been meaning to communicate with the company, and I've just gotten too busy with too many things lately to delve into that closer. But that map I showed you, so I actually built that floor plan of my house. I actually did that before we moved into this house using a different program. So then we could kind of figure out where we wanted everything. And then I just imported those floor plans into NetSpot to use. And I've got one for upstairs and one for downstairs. So I have two different, ones that I can see the heat maps for. So anyway, it's a useful program. Like I said, if you want to be able to do what I did, it's $59 for the program. And then there's some things, like I said, that I can't do because I don't have the pro version, and that's, $199.
And that was a one-time charge or a subscription?
One time. But I thought it was worth it for my purposes, to something I really wanted to do. So, and that's considered to be the best program out there if you look up like reviews of this kind of software.
Do they continue to support it?
What's that, John?
Do they continue to support it?
Yeah, as far as I know.
So if you send them a question, there'll be somebody there to answer?
Well, I haven't done it yet, but presumably, yes.
Find out.
We'll find out. They might just send a picture back to me,
Yeah.
So we'll see.
$50 per question, right?
Yeah. All right. I think we got one last thing for you guys tonight. This was something I came across, and it's another MacMost video. It just so happened we had two of these. But people have asked questions about this here at our meetings, and I thought this might be useful. So what he's going to talk about here is 5 different ways that you can convert audio files on your Mac. And I don't know about you guys, but I am always converting image files and audio files and doing different things with them. And so I thought this might be really useful for you guys if you need to do some converting and changes to audio files you have because maybe they're not compatible with something.
Hi, this is Gary with MacMost.com. Let's look at ways to convert audio files on your Mac. So there are tons of different file types and formats for audio. So you may run into audio that isn't a format that you want to use, or maybe doesn't work in an app that you want to use the audio in, and you need to convert it from one to the other. But it's important to realize first that there are actually three different things when it comes to an audio file. There's the audio file itself, the container, and usually we refer to that by its file extension. For instance, as samples here, I've got 4 different container types: an MP3, a WAV file, a FLAC file, and an OGG file. So these are 4 different types of files, 4 different containers, but they don't tell the whole story because many file types can actually have different encoding formats inside them. So when you look at a file like, for instance, this OGG file, if we were to open it up with QuickTime Player, we can use Command I to get info on it. And you could see here the audio format is something called Vorbis. OGG supports that format and others as well. But that's still not the whole story, because with each audio format you can have individual settings. Like for instance, in this case, this audio file is set to 22,050 Hertz and it's mono. If I open up this WAV file here with QuickTime Player and get info on it, you could see it's using an audio format linear PCM, and the details are 16-bit little endian signed integer, 2250 Hertz, and also mono. So if an audio file doesn't work with an app or device that you're using, it could be the file type or the container. But it could also be the format inside that, and it could also be the particular settings. It's just important to keep that in mind. That could explain why, for instance, one WAV file works in a situation and another WAV file doesn't. But let's get to converting these into a format that we know will work for just about any Mac application. So the first way I'm going to show you to convert is using that very QuickTime Player that I showed before. I've actually put it here in the dock so we have easy access to drag and drop one of these files onto QuickTime Player to open it in that. And you can see it opens fine. In fact, all 4 of these files will open and play just fine in QuickTime Player. And you could skim through it, you could hit play, pause, and all of that. In fact, the playback mechanism in QuickTime Player is the same one that's part of the system. So for instance, you can use Quick Look with any one of these. I could just press spacebar and I could play this file, I could play the WAV file, I could play the FLAC file, or the OGG file. Now, if you want to convert to another format, you can as well. You can go to File, and then you can export as. You have limited export options in QuickTime Player. In fact, for audio, you just have audio only. That's it. And when we do that, it's going to save it out as just one container type, the M4A container. So it's got an M4A extension. And when we save that out, it will take just a few seconds there for this short file, and you'll see it here. If I were to open this one up in QuickTime Player and get info on it, you could see here that the audio format is MPEG-4 AAC. And you'll find that works in just about anything on your Mac or on any Apple device. And the same goes for all of these other file types. You can definitely open those up in QuickTime Player and they will play, and you can go and export them as. Now, let's go beyond that and see if we can produce other file types. To do that, we're going to use GarageBand. GarageBand is free from Apple, so if you don't already have it, you can get it from the App Store. And when you start GarageBand, you want to create a new empty project and choose mic or line. You're just going to get an empty project here with an empty track that you can drag and drop something into. Now, this is where it gets a bit tricky, because if you try to drop in a FLAC file, it won't work. An OGG file, same thing. But the MP3 file, you could see, will import. I can drop it in here. The same thing with this WAV file here. I can drop that in as well. And you can see it'll do a little conversion once I do that. And then I'll have this WAV file there in a track. So now you can see in GarageBand, I've got it here and I can play it. So GarageBand supports less than QuickTime Player for importing. If you did need to import a FLAC or OGG file, you could have just used QuickTime Player to convert it to M4A and then brought that into GarageBand. And the advantage of having it in GarageBand over QuickTime Player is you could go to Share, Export Song to Disk, and you've got more export formats. You can do AAC just like QuickTime Player, but you get to choose a few quality levels. You can also do MP3 and choose from those same quality levels. Note, before you export, you want to turn off the metronome so that it's not going to do the click track over it. So now I'll go back to File, Export Song to Disk, MP3, choose Quality, and I'll export. So now you can see I've got an MP3 file here. If I open this up in QuickTime Player and get info on it, you can see the audio format is MPEG Layer 3, which is MP3. You can see it converted it to 44/100 Hertz and stereo. Obviously, I didn't need those specs there, but the GarageBand project was stereo. That's why you get stereo output. Still, it gets the job done. If you find these videos valuable, consider joining the more than 3,000 others that support MacBoast through Patreon. You get exclusive content, course discounts, and more. You can read about it at macmost.com/Patreon. Now, there's another way to do this, which doesn't even use any app at all. If you select a file like this MP3 file here, control click, right click, or two finger click to bring up the context menu, go to Services, you should find Encode Selected Audio Files. When you select that, it runs basically a little mini app that lets you convert to MPEG audio. You can use Continue there. And what you're going to get for all but one of these files is this error here. It's going to tell you that it only supports a few select formats. In this case, only WAV out of all those files is supported. So we can test it with that and see that it works. And we do in fact get an M4A file from the WAV file using this. If we open this one up in QuickTime Player and get info, we could see similar output here as what was contained in the WAV file. So this is the least versatile of all the options because it doesn't really support very much in terms of input. It doesn't have too many options in terms of output, but it is handy if it does happen to work with files that you've got and you need to convert a lot of them. It could be a quick way to do that. Now let's look at an odd and interesting option. The Music app. The Music app is, of course, what you use to buy music from iTunes, to use the Apple Music streaming service to have your own library of music and be able to create playlists and all of that. That's what you mainly use it for. But all the way back to the beginning, when it was called iTunes in the very first version, you could use it as a way to convert to MP3. So to do that, you're going to want to run the Music app, and then you're going to want to take one of these files and bring it in. And note, it doesn't support all the types. If I take the OGG file and try to drag it into my library, I get nothing. If I take the FLAC file, nothing. If I take the WAV file, that works. And if I take the MP3 file, that works. Let's do the WAV file and drag it here into your library in the app. Now I can go to my library here. Let's go to Songs, and I could find it here. There it is. Now I can select it, and I can go to File and Convert. And I can create a new version of that. So I can say, create AAC version, and it will convert it, and I'll have a second one in my library here. And you can see it's actually working right there. And when it's done, I can drag it out of the Music app, and I get a file there, an M4A file. Let me drag it down here to QuickTime Player, and I can examine it. So that looks good, but is M4A AAC the only thing you can do? Actually, no. You can go to Music Settings, and in here you can go to Files, and then you can go to Import Settings. Yes, import, not export. But here you'll find the encoders, and you have a bunch of different stuff, including MP3 and WAV. If I choose MP3, I can choose quality and even have some custom settings for it. So I can go beyond what I can do in GarageBand here. Now, the reason it's import is when you import, say, from a CD, this is what it's going to use as the format. But that same thing is used for conversion as well. And now instead of AAC, it says create MP3 version. And when it's done, I could drag this one out and I'll bring it into QuickTime Player and you could see the result there, MPEG Layer 3. So that's a really strange way to do it. But actually, Mac users have been doing it that way for years. Note that it won't work with stuff that you already have in music, like stuff from Apple Music's streaming service. It has to be stuff that you brought into it. Now, there is one other way I want to show you how you can do it. And this is going to be especially useful if you like using the terminal or maybe shortcuts with shell scripts, things like that. There is a terminal command, a little mini app inside the terminal that you already have on your Mac called AF-convert. And if I do AF-convert-H, I'll get tons of information about how to use this. So if you really want to know how to use it and what it works with, you're going to have to read all of that or search online for in-depth manuals on how to use this command. I'm going to go into this folder here. And now that I'm in here and I could see those files in there, I'm going to try using it on some of them. So for instance, here's the AF-convert command to convert that FLAC file to an M4A file. So you could see you provide the format M4AF and also the codec there, AAC, and it'll convert it and I'll get this output here, which then I could try out in QuickTime Player and see the result. Likewise, this will work fine with the OGG file as well. And you can see it'll convert that. And it works to convert the MP3 file as well. And you can see it just replaced this one here. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't really convert to a lot of different formats. So it's not going to be useful, for instance, out of the box to convert to MP3. And of course, there are tons of third-party apps, some specifically designed to convert from many formats to many other formats. And there are lots of other apps that play back and stream media that will also do audio conversions. So if you want to go beyond what comes with your Mac, there are just tons of ways to do it. Hope you found this useful. Thanks for watching.
To know about every new
Anyway, I don't know how much you guys might use that, but I know that I do a decent amount of work with audio files, and I know I'm converting stuff. And I do have a few other third-party apps I'll use at times, but it's nice to have some of these tools in your toolbox if you're looking to do that.
For sure.
All right. Any questions or comments before we wrap up tonight? No.
Okay.
We'll put you all to sleep. Well, like Ron said, next week in our next month.
Actually, I have a question.
Yeah.
About the activity monitor dock icon.
Yeah.
You were saying how you could make it show like your disk activity. I was trying to do it with CPU activity. It was behaving strangely. Can you try it?
Well, I have to pull it up first. You said you were doing it with CPU?
Yes.
I gotta, I never do this. I'm trying to remember. How do I get it to my dock? What did he say to do again?
To open
Put
it
the
up,
app on
right?
your dock. Find
No.
your utilities folder and drag it over to the dock to get it on your dock.
No, there was a way to do it from the app, I thought. Wasn't there a way to do it? Oh, there it is. Okay. It's under view dock icon, show CPU usage. I got to figure out where to put it on my dock. Sorry, I have a lot of apps on my dock that I use regularly. Well, I'm not finding it on my dock. Oh, there it is. That's weird. So what were you seeing that you thought was odd?
It just looked like some little black thing, and it didn't really look like a little CPU graph.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It looks like a little bars stacked on one another, and I've got 3 of them that are light blue and the others are dark, kind of grayish blue above that. So I don't know what that's telling me exactly. Is that what you're seeing?
It was looking like a black vertical bar to me.
Okay, well, it almost looks like a little sound bar, that will like sound monitor, but it says it's a vertical bar and it's got little dashes. And so my CPU load is very steady as I watch it on the graph here. So I'm presuming that if all of a sudden I put a heavy CPU load, that I would see that increase, is my guess. I'm just going to change the monitor on it real quick and see if that would fit. No, it's looking at the same thing, so I don't know why that's not working like he was describing. I'm not sure, Terry. It's something I'd have to play with.
Thank you.
Sorry, didn't have a better answer for you.
Okay, thanks.
All right. Well, anyway, as Ron was saying before, next month should be interesting because the day before our meeting is WWDC, where Apple's going to usually has some interesting announcements to make. Certainly on the software side, and every now and then they'll throw in a little hardware, but it's mainly software where we should hear about the new iOS and Mac OS and iPad OS and Watch OS systems that'll be released in the fall. So we'll be discussing all that they have shown us. Basically, Ron and I, the day before, as WWDC is going, it'll be like a fire hose, and we'll be like taking us in as best we can to see what we can turn around and present to you 24 hours later. So it's not as bad, Ron, right? What was it, about a year ago where they did it on the day of our meeting?
The day of, yeah.
Yeah, we're like, we got a couple hours to get this together. So I'm always furiously sitting there on my iPad taking notes about all this stuff. So we'll see what we can share with you guys next month about that stuff.
So remember, if there's anything that was interesting tonight, click it on the website. We'll put all that stuff there.
Yeah, we always have the video. Ron, are you still putting the videos of the meetings up on YouTube?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like my goodies, I'll share a PDF of that stuff and you can go back and watch this video as well.
And Steve's thing and all the videos that we've shown.
Do you have
And
transcripts up on there too?
Sorry, what?
You were doing a transcript from this. Does that go up on the website?
Yeah, that comes every month now. AI brings that to me.
I don't think I've ever looked at
it. It was good to see you at our meeting.
Thank you all.
Thanks.
Hope everybody.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Thanks,
Good night.
everybody.